What is up, everybody? Cheers. Happy Thursday. Happy rest day. And happy fall. It is definitely starting to feel like the seasons have changed. At least here in good old upstate New York. I now am officially in the flannel season. And as much as I miss summer, it is quite nice to have a little crisp in the air. And I'm not going to lie, I have a little bit of apple cider in my cup today. A little fancy schmancy. Had my first apple cider donut this weekend after doing the linchpin test 13. For those who are not familiar, if you want to torture yourself this weekend, do what I did. It is a 90-minute time cap. If I can finish it, you can too. I didn't wear a vest though. It says if you have a vest to wear it, but I knew that would have been a dumb training decision based on how little I've been running. But anyways, 90-minute time cap. You start with 20 burpees, you run 400 meters. Or I'm sorry, I think you start with the run. 400-meter run, 20 burpees. 400-meter run, 19 burpees. 400 all the way down to one final burpee. And yeah, it was one of those workouts where it honestly, I'm not a good enough runner yet to say that it was necessarily hard because I can't really push on the run without redlining. I felt like maybe it was a zone 2, but it definitely wasn't because my heart rate was like 183 the entire time. But it's more of a mental grind than I think a physical grind because you're never going to fail a burpee. You're never going to fail running. Like if you can't run anymore, you walk a little or you jog, you just have to kind of keep going. And it actually gets harder mentally the closer you get to finishing because then there's less burpees and a quicker turnaround to running. But so on the weekends, I work out with my friends at one of their garage gyms. So we alternate between two of my friend couples that are married. And normally we do a training think tank throwdown. They have their Thursday throwdowns that they post for Saturdays, and we've been doing that for years. So it's meant to be a 400-meter sprint. Omar, I am not sprinting any further than like 100 meters. It's accumulated of 5 miles throughout this entire workout. But excuse me. But anyways, so I really liked what the throwdown was going to be last weekend. There was all I remember is like the barbell movements looked super fun. Croth. You say it the way that I talk with my lisp. Croth fit. Croth fit. How are you? I am fantastic. My body is basically recovered from the weekend. But so one of our friends, Scott, he, on Friday, either Thursday or Friday, he dropped it in the chat. He's like, when are we going to do this one again? And I guess all my friends did it last year, but I was on the road traveling. So I didn't get the chance to do it. And I didn't think that meant that we were doing it that day. So I show up Saturday morning. I didn't bring my runners. The leggings that I wore were comfy leggings, but they're not ones that I would ever choose to run in. The fabric is super comfortable, but they like slide down. So for the first like 4 rounds, I'm hiking up my leggings the entire run. I'm cursing Scott's name as we're running, like, dude, are you kidding me? But and nonetheless, I finished under the time cap, 83 minutes. Like I said, I didn't wear a vest. It says if you have one, you should wear one. But uh, you know, this week I would say was the first week that I got back into like my normal training after being on the road and stuff. My coach normally takes like a week or 2 to ease me in, lower percentages, volume is a little bit lighter. So that was kind of a slap in the face to start the official full week back at training. But if you guys are looking for a good workout, you should give that one a go. Let me know how it goes for you. I had somebody shoot me a DM on Instagram saying that in whatever their setting was, they couldn't run. So instead they were going to sub the running for rowing. And I don't know. I think that honestly, in some ways might be, I don't know if it might be worse, better. I think you would need to row more than 400 meters per round for it to really be equal, but, what's the grossest workout you guys have done recently? I had that one, and, everything else has just been, normal training. I think I talked about it last week. I need to get something on the calendar, something to look forward to and train specifically for, and not an online qualifier. I need to do something live in person, but we'll see. We'll see where that leads. A couple of my friends want to do a high rocks, and I'm not opposed to it. I'll do that for fun, but I don't know that I would necessarily enjoy training for that or want to train for that. Where CrossFit comp, I get excited training for that kind of stuff. So we'll see. We will see. But this weekend, kind of a busy weekend for, I would say, like mid-level competitions. There's Crash Crucibles in South Carolina. Last year, I believe that they had elite individuals. They had like a small condensed group of them. And this year, I think it's only teams based on what I could pull up from, what is this, localcomp.com, like where their leaderboard is going to be. Oh wait, 2025. Yeah. So, oh wait, no, that is one. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong leaderboard from the one that they had in Juniper March. So maybe they do have individuals. I did try to find a leaderboard, but this is all I could find. But anyways, they typically get some CrossFit Games athletes. I know that they get a handful of people from Training Think Tank that go and compete. I know that Austin Hatfield is down there. I'm not sure if he's competing or just helping out with media or just like doing some uh like stuff being with the crowd or with the spectators. I know Brooke Wells had posted something. And then a competition that I will be at covering is Fight for the Fittest. It's in a like suburb of New York City. Brentwood is the city. And that's one that also gets like a couple of CrossFit team games athletes, or like Easy Muhammad has been there. Christian Harris programs for it. And a couple of the Training Think Tank team games athletes, they competed there last year, I think maybe the year before too. And then you see some like bubble athletes, some semifinal athletes that compete there. Their format's interesting because it's a 2-day competition, but they have like, you can do teams, pairs, or individuals. And technically you can do both the team and individual competition. So I'm pretty sure, I got to look tomorrow when I get the schedule, but the pairs, I'm pretty sure, go both days. Actually, the ladies from Glitten Things, I saw them there last year because they were close by, but they'll be at Crash Crucibles, I believe. Anyways, and then the teams, I think, is just Saturday, and then they do their podium and everything, and then individuals is Sunday. So if you wanted to do both divisions, you very well could. What's new in the dating scene? I know it's been a minute since we've talked about Lauren's dating life. I'm dating one individual, one person. I'm not on apps. I'm just dating one man. One man. And yeah, that is that. I know, not as juicy as my life used to be with all the dating stories that I had. The horror of, pretty much 10 years of being on and off dating apps. It just, holy crap, absolute chaos. Chaos. I was actually FaceTiming one of my best friends who lives in Georgia. She is actually the nutritionist at Training Think Tank. And it's her birthday today. Happy birthday. Hard launch on Instagram with the new man. No, we're not going to launch it on Instagram. He actually doesn't have social media, which I think is super interesting because obviously like most of my life is on Instagram. Victor, love to hear it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the claps. But so Tracy Tucker, happy birthday to my bestie. She's traveling right now to go visit her friend in Vermont. Otherwise, I would have had her on for a little birthday special. But Tracy and I, we did a like get ready with us before we go out last year around the holidays. We're going to do the same thing when she comes back to visit in January. But anyways, did I hear chaos? Of course, Jeremy's here as soon as he hears chaos. Yes, I'm saying my life is less chaotic lately than it has been. But, she has been on the dating apps a bit and just hearing her tell the stories. I mean, it literally doesn't matter who you are. Just insert different person and you experience a lot of the same issues. And I don't know what that says about dating culture in general. Because on one hand, it's like, okay, my future person probably isn't wasting time on a dating app. But then in the same token, it's like, well, wait, I'm on the dating app. So what's that say about me? So it's this interesting like game you play in your head. Show us a pic of this stud muffin. Maybe at some point. Maybe at some point. Don't worry, I won't gatekeep forever. Should I leave? No, Jeremy. Stay. We're enjoying our Thursday company together. It's been a while. I feel like you weren't here last week, so what's been up with you, Jeremy? Are you dating anybody? What's the latest? Drop the info. We gotta know. We gotta know. And how many people meet their significant other at a CrossFit gym? Because I feel like that's also something that is super mixed. Like I know a ton of people who have met their husbands or wives or really serious like girlfriend or boyfriend at their affiliates. But then we've also heard the horror stories of dating at your gym and then like something goes wrong and then, who has to like change their class time or do you have to change affiliates or you find out that oh I was dating this person but they were also dating like three other people at my gym. Like love that for me. So I don't know, and I'm sure you can say that about a lot of like places, but yeah, at least for me in my experience dating inside a CrossFit affiliate never worked for me. Jeremy, tell us what you told Sevan. What did you tell him? I have like 5 girlfriends at the moment. Wow, 5? How do you keep them all organized? Do you see girlfriend A on Mondays, girlfriend B on Tuesdays? Like how do you have a calendar? Do you have a Google Calendar? Can you share us on the Google Calendar? We got to see. I want to know how you keep this organized because even when I was on the dating apps and I mean, honestly, everybody does it, not to justify it, but it just kind of speaks to the culture. You at least like for a lot of people before you start going on dates, like you're chatting with a couple people at once. And even that and then trying to remember, okay, who did I have this conversation with? And oh, who did I tell this to? And who has that job and whatever. And then you're playing so much time scrolling and trying to play catch up on what conversations you're having with people. It organized, aka how do you hide them from each other? Yeah, Jeremy, how do you hide them from each other? How do you keep them a secret? We must know. We must know. And are you honest with them? Do they know that you're speaking to 4 other women? And are they okay with that? Or do you keep it sneaky, sneaky and you say nothing and you keep your cards close to your chest? We gots to know. You can't just drop a bomb like that and then not let us know whatever do you mean? So, Jeremy, Jeremy. The webs we weave. So dating, CrossFit comps, the Rogue Invitational is coming up. Sean, Tommy, and I did a fantasy draft creating our own teams the other night, which was super fun. And we are letting you guys vote on what the loser's punishment is. So, uh, let us know if you have, a good workout or just a silly punishment. I'm seeing one young lady, she's great. Oh boy. It's a PG show where you talk about her? Okay, interesting, interesting. Send me the timestamps. Let me know. So how serious is this lady? Like, are you saying you're seeing each other, or are you calling her your girlfriend? Is she calling you her boyfriend? Like, what are we talking about here? We we gotta know. We gotta know all the details. See how this show is now turned on you? We always want to know. I was actually what was it? Mm, Love is Blind just came out with a new season, and I don't really, like, watch those shows a lot, but yesterday before we recorded Sugon, it has been a while. It's not a normal show without you here. I had, like, an awkward amount of time before we were gonna start recording the podcast, and I was like, "Oh, I don't wanna start, like, a new show that I really care about. I just need kinda something in the background," so I put Love is Blind on, and I'm just like, where do they find these people? And are these people like, I get with reality TV that some stuff is scripted or producers try to, like, egg people on to show certain personality sides or, the way that you should apply for Love is Blind. No, I'm good, but thank you. Um, like, I'm just so curious what that's like, but watching Love is Blind, I was just thinking, like, the way these people are behaving seems very unprompted, and are they doing this for TV? But also, like, the way they were behaving, I'm like, "Why would you wanna do that for TV and portray yourself in this light?" I don't know. We're nearing the boyfriend-girlfriend horizon. Just been having fun, maybe too much fun. Oh. Sagan, why did you draft Gazan? I feel like she could definitely be a wild card because we don't know how healthy she is because this will be the first competition she competes in since that terrible car accident. But to me, oh my god, those emojis. Uh did I get a new ring light? No, I didn't, but I'm using a new camera. So now I'm using my DJI, the one that I travel with. I figured how I hooked it up or how to hook it up. But with Alex Gazan, I I feel like she's somebody that is really calculated in her decisions on whether to compete or not, and in my mind, I don't think that she would risk like, if she wasn't feeling at least near 100%, maybe not primed or peaked for Rogue necessarily, but healthy enough, then she wouldn't go to Rogue. Like, we know that Rogue is really heavy, and I think it was snatches that she hadn't been doing until, like, maybe a month or so ago, but I would imagine that a lot of her strength, like, came back relatively quickly as a young, healthy athlete overall outside of, the injury, so I just I'm gonna bet on her. Was she your first pick? No, let's see, hold on if I go to the graphic because I wanted to give it a couple of rounds because I had her on my list that I wanted to pick her, but I was curious to see Sean and Tommy, and there were other athletes that I knew that they would go for before her. So who are my picks? My first pick, who was my first pick? I think my first pick was Jason Hopper. I think 'cause I know no, maybe I did start with a female, or maybe it was Emma Lawson, honestly, because I know that Sean had first pick and he got Laura Horvath, and then maybe I went with a female and I picked Emma Lawson, and then maybe my second pick was Jason Hopper. I don't necessarily remember. Um, Why did you wear Rads on a mountain? Because I didn't know that I was climbing a mountain. I thought that I was going for a hike, and in my mind, I was like, "These are my most like, these have been proven to be the most comfortable shoes that I can wear for a long, extended amount of time and not get, like, shin splints or have my hips hurt or, like, no rubbing or chafing." I didn't know that I was going to be on an actual mountain. If I knew that it was an actual mountain and I needed shoes with grips, I have a pair of Under Armour, like, trail shoes that I would have wore, but I didn't have those with me in Poland, so that is why I wore those, but, uh yeah, I will say my feet were comfortable. My anxiety was not comfortable. I was literally panicking and freaking out. I think Jason was your first pick. Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. If you go back and watch the episode, it has, the order we picked everybody in. We didn't really get into like much of the reason of why we picked each person. We just kind of went through it. Uh so yeah, but it was really fun. And I think it'll be fun to see what the punishment is. Today during TEF Q&A, we had some people give some suggestions. Tommy really wants to do this IHOP what is it? Like the IHOP challenge. It's like eating a bunch of yeah, is the episode out? Yeah, yeah, it came out this morning. Eating a bunch of pancakes and I don't wanna do that. Like, I'd rather do a hard workout where my body and muscles hurt than my belly hurts. I really don't like being uncomfortably full, and I have been several times in my life, and I know that it's just not fun. It's not fun when your belly hurts. So, we'll see. I'll just have to win, and then I can decide what the punishment is for the boys. So, TBD, TBD. Have you guys ever used this chapstick? At first, I wasn't really convinced that I liked it. I got it at Wegmans. I'm sure you can get it pretty much anywhere. But like the smoothness of it, it's very good. It's very good. You got to eat as many of those apple fritters from his favorite pasty spot. Okay, I do like apple fritters. Yum. I never thought I'd find someone after you rejected me, Laur. Turns out it was the best thing that could happen to me. See, Jeremy, I just set you up for future success by saying, I appreciate our conversations. I really, really appreciate our voice notes. Um, but yeah, we just, we're going to stay friends. That's what we're going to do. Oh my God, Sagan's already on his bullshit about signing up for the open. Are we gonna start this now? And then are you gonna ask every single week until the CrossFit season begins? My I encourage you to find something else to like hammer home. What if the loser has to sign up for the 2026 open? Okay, so be it. That's the character growth pain. Yeah, but character growth, pain of a tummy ache, that's just like you made a lot of bad decisions. It's like in college when weekend after weekend I would drink, and I was the kind of drinker that my body very much would reject alcohol before I would black out. Like there was only one instance in my entire life that I fully blacked out, and thankfully it was at my parents' house. It was from um not Pinnacle Whip, but it was actually this can of like vodka infused whipped cream, and me and my best friend from growing up, her and I treated it like a treat, and we were just like, you know, eating Cool Whip out of the can, and that was not fun. But anyways, yeah, you learn a couple mistakes too many times for several years apparently. And almost every time that I would go out drinking, I would throw up. It's not fun. Why would I keep doing that? Because I was young and dumb, but now I know better. This is why I rarely drink, and if I do, it's like 1, maybe 2 cocktails. There may be one time in the whole year that I really let my hair down and have a couple too many. Happens typically on family vacation. Um, but yeah, why would I wanna make my belly hurt? That's just terrible. Rejecting alcohol and still drinking is like seeing red flags, looking them in the eyes and saying, "I'm still here." Victor, there's never been something more relatable said to me. Yeah, I mean, this makes a lot of sense for a lot of my dating life decisions that happened after that alcohol phase, or part of it was maybe during, geez, college lore sounds wild. Oh yeah, I mean high school lore was wild. It's funny because I feel like people who I went to high school with, if they saw me now, like truly I'm very much not the same person at all. Like I was a big partier. I started, drinking around like 14 or 15. I was going out 4 plus times a week. If I didn't have plans on the weekend, I was hustling to make plans and find something to do, whether it was going to somebody's house, hanging out, doing something. I was always on the move, and a lot of my social circle revolved around alcohol. And now I couldn't think of anything worse, to be honest. But, you know, it is what it is. It shapes us how we are. I would say, so I'm not, like I said, I'll drink a drink, maybe 2, let my hair down, really let it down, maybe once a year. But there was a period of like 3 years that I totally cut out alcohol completely, and that was around the time that I was getting more serious about CrossFit, and I was, tracking macros and really into nutrition, and I really wanted certain aesthetic goals and certain goals in the gym, and alcohol just um wasn't aligned with that. I remember a couple times when I had started CrossFit, and I would go out drinking on a Friday night and then come in Saturday morning and try to do a workout, sometimes be hungover, sometimes, I mean, potentially still drunk. And it's like, okay, something isn't aligned here. This isn't really working for me. So then I cut out alcohol for like 3 straight years, did not touch it, had no interest, would still go out and hang out with friends and very much be social, but I'd get a mocktail or a water. I would DD for my friends. And honestly, like that allowed me to feel more in control of the night anyways. I enjoy like driving everybody home safe. So that was never like an issue. And when people are drunk, they're either annoying or they're funny. Luckily, my friends are always funny. But it is interesting how people, not so much in the CrossFit space because I feel like mm, it's a healthy environment, but people outside of the CrossFit space, if you tell them that you don't drink or you're not drinking, they look at you like you have a million heads, or they're like, "Oh, are you a were you an alcoholic?" And I mean, yeah, you guys just heard like, yeah, I partied like crazy, but to me that was just being young, dumb, learning. I don't know that I would consider myself like ever an alcoholic, but it's interesting that people like jump to that conclusion and they're like, "Oh, are you sober because you used to be an alcoholic?" And I'm like, "No, I just don't enjoy it." But anyways, where was I going with that? Oh, so then the first time that I drank after being 3 years like no alcohol was at my sister's wedding. I was the maid of honor. The priest did not show up. My sister was cool as a cucumber, but my head's about to explode. I'm like, the priest had the wrong time. We're like 30 minutes away. He needs to be here in 5 minutes. And I'm looking at the radar and it is about to storm and it's an outdoor wedding. And I'm like, we can't do it with him. Like, if we want to have this wedding outside, we have to find somebody else to officiate. And so luckily, my sister's wedding planner was officiated. So she ended up marrying them. And I remember the ceremony gets done, and my brother-in-law's best man, I look him square in the eye and I was like, I need a captain and diet pronto. And then like the whole like wedding party is hooting and hollering like, "Oh my god, Lauren's drinking. We haven't seen her drink in so many years." And everybody was, like, so excited. It was like I told them that, like, Santa Claus was here. Um, but yeah, so then I drank at my sister's wedding, and now, like I said, just very rare. But, everything okay with the skin cancer? So good question. I think I don't go back to my dermatologist until, like, January. But this girl who I go to for, skincare treatments, she's also a dermatologist, and I had her look at the place where the basal cell carcinoma was, and also just talking about, like, how bad the cream made it scar. And she said that, like, based on the tools when she was looking, she couldn't tell if it was still there or not, and my dermatologist might actually have to take a biopsy to actually see if it's still there or not. I have this, like, funny suspicion that it's still there. I feel like I can still see the little tiny red dot that I initially noticed on my skin, and not to say that, I mean, that's just like a skin pigmentation, right? Like, who knows if that's really what the cancer is? I mean, what do I know? I'm not a dermatologist. But I have this funny suspicion that they're gonna need to cut it out anyways, which is kind of annoying because I wish that I just did that at the beginning to just get it over with. But this was supposedly the easier way and less invasive and less scarring. But it is what it is. So we will find out, but thank you for asking. I appreciate it. Funny you say hustling to make plans. Yeah. I was like, okay, we gonna text this person. We're gonna start a Facebook group here. We're gonna plan this. We're gonna plan that. For a long time, I actually wanted to be a wedding planner. And then I realized that that is not what I want to do. What weighs more? 1,000 kilos of feathers or 2,200 pounds of bricks. Kilos always weigh more. Didn't you read the headline here? I don't know about you guys, but anytime I pick something up in kilos, it feels so much heavier. Like the sandbag in the picture for this cover photo, that's, a little over 123 pounds. It felt like a 200-pound sandbag. Why? Why? I don't understand. It's the same thing with dumbbells in the gym. The rubber ones always feel lighter, but then you get some of those old school, not old school because you can obviously still buy them, but the metal ones, the ones that you see in a big Globo gym, but my gym has some of them, and they feel so heavy. The 20s in the all silver steel feel way heavier than the rubber ones. I do not know why. Make it make sense. I don't get it. Do you ever get health anxiety over that stuff? How do you deal with that? That's a really good question. So, I would say for the most part, no. I don't really get stressed over health issues. There was one time that I did, and I'll get into that in a minute. But you're on a different hemisphere. I I feel like for the most part, and everything's balanced, right? I live a pretty healthy life. I work out regularly. I lift weights. I rarely drink alcohol. I'm eating fruits, vegetables, meat. Yes, I have processed sugar, but relative to the rest of the world, it's very much limited. I go to my uh I go to my primary doctor every year. I go to the dentist. I try to go twice a year. Sometimes it's only once. I go to my dermatologist. I go to my boob doctor. I go to my OBGYN. Like, I go to all of the doctors, and it's a pain in the you know what. And sometimes honestly, I think a lot of it is the biggest scam in society is the healthcare system. That's a whole different topic. But I feel like going at least gives me security that if there was an issue, they would catch it early enough that we could deal with it. And that's why, I mean, when I put out the thing about the basal cell carcinoma, I actually got a lot of people like reaching out and DMing me and being like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Like, are you okay? How are you dealing with this?" And truthfully, like, I'm being 100% truthful when I say this. I was really just putting it out there for educational purposes. Like, I never would have gone to the dermatologist if I, like, didn't have an itchy boob and saw a little spot on me. Like, if you looked at it, you never would have thought it was something. So it was more just like, hey, like this little thing that looks like absolutely nothing is actually skin cancer. Oh my God, how many other things on me are skin cancer and other people too? Um, so I don't really get nervous or stressed about health stuff, but I also think that my sister very much does. It She thinks that she is dying from and I laugh because she's my sister and I love her and I know that she's not dying, but she thinks that she has, a tumor or some undiagnosed disease, every other day of the week. So she very much like gives me a sense that, okay, maybe she's one end of the spectrum and maybe I'm even the polar opposite end of the spectrum that I'm a little bit too loose on things. But like I said, I go to all the doctors. I feel like I am doing everything in my control to kind of prevent um, things from happening. But what I will say is back were you thirst trapping? Who? What was I thirst trapping? What are you talking about? Because of my post? I go to the doctor when I need, but I do need to get mammograms every year. Uh, do you have a history of breast cancer? I have to go every year because my mom had breast cancer, but then because I have almost like on the level of how dense your breasts are, mine are on the level either like the most dense or right before the most dense, which is makes it harder to detect breast cancer. And there was like a lump, but nothing suspicious. Could be, a whole number of things. But because of that and because of the risk of breast cancer, I have to go every 6 months. But the one time that I actually was a little bit anxiety ridden was back when the pandemic had started. I was working in local television. And at the time, um, I was, doing everything preventative. I was reading up on the news. I was working in the news. I was following, the science and everything that everybody was saying. And then like I said, I was healthy. I wasn't around old people. I wasn't around sick people, so I didn't get vaccinated. Because I felt like from everything that I was reading and everything that I was gathering that, okay, I'm not in a high risk category and I am high risk for a lot of allergies and vaccine allergies. So to me, the risk of getting vaccinated wasn't worth it based on the category that I was in. And so lo and behold, I end up getting COVID and I end up in the hospital. I had blood oxygen of like 87 and the doctor came in. This was after like being in the ER for like 3 days and they told me, if your oxygen levels don't go up tomorrow, we're putting you in the ICU and we're ventilating you. And that really scared the shit out of me because in my head I'm like, I'm doing everything besides like getting vaccinated. I'm doing everything in my power based on the research and the science. Like this shouldn't have happened to me. And that was a really unsettling situation for me because I'm like, I'm healthy. Like I work out, I eat pretty clean. No, I'm young. None of this makes sense. So when I say like, yeah, I go to the doctors and I try to control what I can at the end of the day, there's some things that you just can't control. So that part of it, I would say, could be a little bit anxiety ridden. My sister's and mom's breast cancer was found due to a mammogram. Oh my gosh. I am so sorry. Are both of them cancer free now? Too many false positives on mammograms, Sagan said. Interesting. Um, I'm trying to think if anybody else in my family had breast cancer other than my mom. Hers was my mom was grateful because hers was, I think they didn't even call it stage 1. It was like, I don't even know if this is the right term, but like stage 0. She didn't they just basically cut it out. She didn't need to have radiation or anything like that. So yeah, like didn't lose her hair or anything. But still, obviously she had cancer, super scary, and now it like runs in the family. I've had genetic testing and all of that comes back to show that, I'm not a gene carrier of it. But um yeah. So very interesting. But anyways, it's so good to catch up with everybody. I'm glad that everybody is back in the chat. Talking about health stuff. Yeah, it's been a while since I've talked about some of those things, but very interesting. They are good. Good to know. Good to know. Yeah. I mean, having cancer and that stuff running in your family is scary because yeah, you never really know. And I know that based on even like going to get a mammogram and an ultrasound, and what was the other thing that I needed to get? There was one more. But anyways, even though I'm high risk for breast cancer, insurance doesn't cover a lot of it. And my doctor, who I see for my boobs, she is kind of progressive in the way that she or in like the studies or findings, or I don't know the right terminology. It's my brain is farting right now. It's like blah, blah, blah. She pushing science forward, like there's other things that she wants to do that she claims are like better ways to test, but because of that, cancer or insurance won't cover it because for whatever reason. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, no problem. I mean, it is hard, and health things are hard to deal with, and they can certainly be scary. But I think it's just important to, yeah, control what you can control. Try to do preventative care as much as you can, and also finding people that you can trust, and that's doctors included, because you have to be the best advocate for yourself. Because I can't tell you the amount of doctors that, whether it's like me or a family member or somebody I know has gone to, and then they send them home because their symptoms aren't in their checklist. And the individual's like, no, I know I'm not okay. And they push and push and push. And then they end up finding something. You know what I mean? So I think listening to your own body and being your best advocate is also something important. Jeremy, you happen to be a doctor of the boobs. I'm sure you are with your new girlfriend. And on that note, happy Thursday. Great chatting with y'all. As always, we have a good time here. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday evening. Cheers, and we'll see you next week.